Hey everybody, Tara Green here. How are you doing? Well, I have to say, this Mercury retrograde has been one hell of a bitch because it turned retrograde right on my sun sign, especially, and it will stop on my birthday on November 29th. Can't wait for that. But it's been hell to try to do anything. So, some people are affected more by Mercury retrogrades than others if it impacts them personally. Okay, so we're almost there. Now, I'm just going to recap a little bit because I've been preoccupied with all kinds of other things, deadlines that I'm doing. So, the big aspects this week on the 24th, Mercury was very active, conjunct Venus in Scorpio. So, you might have heard from some old lovers, old texts came up, kind of weird information appeared. Secrets are going to be revealed. On the 25th, Venus in conjunct Chiron. That means it's kind of been painful, lots of old wounds coming up, lots of heartbreak, lots of maybe feeling hopeless and obsessed and not being able to let it go, right? Now, yesterday, Venus trine Jupiter in Cancer. Now that's, Jupiter's retrograde, Jupiter's exalted in retrograde, Venus is in detriment in Scorpio because she's in Mars's sign. But those are called the lesser benefics. Venus is the lesser benefic, Jupiter is the greater benefic. It's this old traditional astrology attributes. But they trine each other. That means they're really supportive. It looks like a big pyramid. And that's a really lovely positive thing. But again, because it's Venus in Scorpio, it can be overwhelmingly digging the dirt, obsessing, cursing, not letting go, revenge. It can be too much of a good, bad thing, too. Okay, so now the big news today, and then Venus trine Saturn too, because, Saturn and Neptune are neck and neck pretty much at the latter degrees of Pisces for Saturn, at the very last degree for Neptune. So again, if you've been feeling very emotionally overwhelmed because a lot of those grand water trine energies are still going on, even though the sun entered Sagittarius a few days ago, it's still very, very watery and intense. And it is Thanksgiving today on the 27th in the US. I want to wish all of my family, half of my family is American. My families, some of them are all over the world. Some are in New Jersey, some are in Belgium, some are in Mexico, some are in England. So they're kind of all over the place, California, Florida, etc. So wishing all of my family blessings, and my clients, lots of my U.S. clients, and all of my friends in the U.S., especially in Sedona, Arizona. Missing my pink pickleball team in Sedona there, and my other friends in Sedona as well. So wishing you all the best blessings. You know who you are. And so today, the big news, Saturn turns direct at 7:52 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10:52 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. It's on the 28th in Greenwich Mean Time. Saturn's been retrograde since the beginning of July. So for that time when Saturn is retrograde, which, Saturn does this every year. It's not like your life is going to change on a dime. It's an annual thing. So don't buy into all that hokey pokey astrology bullshit, trigger warnings, all that stuff. So Saturn, when it stations, all planets, when they station, that means they appear to stop in the sky, whether they're ready to go backwards or forwards, are at their most powerful. So Saturn, the planet of karma, limitations, obstacles, testing, patriarchy, fathers, career, long-term goals, Capricorn is, traditionally it was called the goatfish. So Capricorns, even though they don't like to get emotional, they are very emotional deep down. The water, the tail, the mermaid tail, represents the unconscious. So they are deeply connected to their unconscious, but extremely practical. So, that kind of energy is going to root in, even though Saturn is at 25, 26 Pisces right now. So we're finishing up. This is, yes, somebody pointed up, this is the last time that Saturn will station in Pisces for the next 28, 29, 30 years. That's true. Not really a big deal either, but it does talk about the end of a cycle. But the cycle's not really over until Saturn enters Aries, which is going to happen in February 2026. And then, of course, I'm going to reiterate again that famous date coming up, February 20th, 2026, when Saturn and Neptune meet at 0 degrees of Aries for the first time in over 6,000 years. So 0 in the tarot is called the Fool. And the Fool is the symbol of enlightenment. It represents, it's 0. If you look at any traditional tarot card, it's usually 0. But it's also 22 because there are 22 major arcana. The 0 comes around again. It's like the famous Ouroboros snake eating its tail. So it's 0 and 22, a master number. And so it represents the end of a major cycle, a never-ending cycle. Actually, it goes round and round and round. And that's what astrology is all about, is navigating the cycles of life, of course. Now, we're going to move from the elements of water, and Uranus, also been in Taurus for the last 8 years, not as long as Neptune and Pisces since 2011, but it's a very bracing new era that we're getting ready to go into. And because we're in the countdown right now, Saturn is now going to go back and go over, and we'll be at that last karmic 29th degree again. And I'm going to give you an update about that with the specific dates. But this is very intense time to finish off major karmic cycles, okay, with family, with everybody you've been related to in past lives. It's a great time to do ancestry work, to do past life regression, to do a soul retrieval. All of that stuff. I've been doing a lot of that work, and that's what we're all meant to be doing, And even if you think you've done a gazillion workshops and done kinds of work, no, this is the time where you get even deeper, get really deep down, peeling off more and more layers of stuff to get to the bottom of it. And then, we're going to head into a brand new era. So I want to talk about 2026. I'm going to be offering workshops in 2026 about how to move into this new elements that we're going to move into, right? We're moving out of a 200-year cycle of earth into a 200-year cycle of air, and air means intellect, the mind, communication, social media. It's Aquarius energy, the water bearer, which was traditionally the servant who would bring the water to the Roman baths, because Aquarius was the planet Uranus, which is the modern ruler of Aquarius, was discovered with technology. It was a very significant event in the 1700s because it was the ending of what the thousands of years of what you could only see with the naked eye, to being able to expand our vision beyond that. So it's a very, very historical moment. And so Uranus moving into Gemini, an air sign now for the next 8 years, is really important too. So Saturn and Neptune. Saturn is a personal planet. Neptune is the second interpersonal or transpersonal planet. Saturn is reality. Neptune dissolves reality. So a lot of the old delusions, being brave, being strong, learning to work with fire, the element of fire. So if you are already an Aries or a Leo or a Sagittarius, you have the advantage that you inherently know what it's like to play with fire, to be fired up, to be full of energy and just jumping into things. Fire traditionally represents spirit. It's very spiritual. I know you might think Aries are not spiritual. Well, they're more into the action. It's like the universe. It's a big movie. The universe has got a big clapboard and it goes, are you ready, set, go? Action, cameras. That's what's going to happen February 20th, okay? And it's going to be a very rude awakening for a lot of people, okay? So this Saturn station is like, okay, now you're in that countdown to get ready to go into that new era. It's February the 14th, 13th, 14th, depending on where you are when Saturn re-enters Aries, okay? And then there's an eclipse right after that in Aquarius, by the way, late Aquarius. And then on the 20th, there is that fabulous conjunction. So how do you get ready to be working with fire? How do you get ready? We're also going to be in a number 1 year. We're in a hermit year. 2025 is a hermit year, a number 9 year. We're going to go into a number 1 year. So the end of every 9 years, beginning of every 10 years, we go through a new cycle. Universally, we're going to start a number 1 year. So the number 1, brand new, okay, it's the magician in the tarot. Not necessarily like Harry Potter. Your magic wand is, again, your mind. Magician is Mercury, the planet Mercury, right, which is still retrograde right now, remember? Mercury rules all communications, all social media, all thinking, analysis, communication. So we're all going to be into that new thinking age. So you got to kind of clean out your mind. You got to defrag the computer. We're all going to get ready to go into a brand new era. Be adventurous, be strong, be courageous, be just ready to jump into the fire. It's going to be a 5-alarm fire. The Big Bang degree, 0 Aries. So if you need some coaching, I'm redoing my website finally, new coaching. You want to work with me, I'm at taratarot.com. If you have fire signs, please post. I have a lot of fire and a lot of air in my chart anyway, so I kind of am familiar with working with those elements. But if you're earthy and water, feminine energy, it may be a bit of a challenge, but of course, everybody has both, Both, everybody has both polarities, so you just have to learn to pump the fire up. All right,